Okay, what I'm going to do is show you a couple of very historical sites here right across the street from the proposed hotel site. This being one is the bank building. That's an old bank building. It's over 100 years old, and there is over $1 million slated for the preservation of this old bank building, and it'll probably end up being another. It'll probably end up being another museum, and with another addition on the north side of it, the south side of it, maybe another museum also. This right here, building here, is also a historical building, and I don't know if anything has been allocated toward it as far as it being a restored. But this is the historical part of this Newton Keys Hotel site. It's on the historical heritage trail, and also this park here, which is right in front of City Hall, right there in the background. This park is a smaller version of Mound Bayou, where in the middle there, if you can see it, there's a little hill which symbolizes the Indian Mound, and just beyond it, or just to the left of it, is two small streams that symbolizes the two bayous, and that make up Mound Bayou, or make up the name Mound Bayou. So that's another historical site, and as I say, that's the over there in the background or foreground there is the City Hall. Okay. Now I'm going to pan from the bank building to the proposed hotel site. This tract of land here is part of the. This is what we will use as a downtown hotel site. Now, right here, this place is called Scooters. There are a lot of community events that happen here. That's a gymnasium back there, but also there are concerts and things that go on here and there, and then a lot of the banquets and uh, community birthday parties and things like that happen in this building. Now I'm walking toward the hotel site. All of this acreage here, all the way down there, which is, I guess that's probably a half a mile maybe, of that is what can be used for the hotel site. Okay, across the street right here, all of this area here, I would like to see it at some point, this area be redeveloped into an area where you can walk and have shops and things like that, and to close off this whole street here, close off this street, and make these empty lots here, maybe not hotels, but restaurants, small shops, souvenir shops, things like that, where if people are in this area visiting this bank building and visiting that IT Montgomery home that you can see right there, then this whole area will become a tourist area. Now, as we look at this bank building here, we can look. I'm gonna pan over here. All of this might be torn down and made into a whole museum area here. So that's on the table right now. So I'm going to cut this off a second. We're going to walk down a little bit further. Okay, I'm kind of in the middle of this property, and what I'm pointing at across the street is the IT Montgomery home. That was on the National Historical Endangered List of endangered homes or endangered historic sites in the country at one time. I think it was number 3 at one point. But Congressman Thompson got $2.8 million for for the refurbishment of this house. So that's a focal point. That's I.T. Montgomery's home, the founder's home. And this land that I'm pointing at now, next to it, is all part of that property. And I don't know where the boundary is, but they're going to develop it. They're going to develop, those people who own this property are going to develop this also. That's in the works. They had a public meeting maybe 3 weeks ago with some plans about this. They had to submit to the congressman or submit to the agency that's funding them, but that's in the works right now. And then this property over here, as I said, I don't know where the boundary ends, but some of that is part of the bank. We'll get a museum going up this side, and then this company or these people will do something right along in here. Then the hotel would be over here somewhere, maybe down that part of the property on the far end, maybe right here across from the I.T. Montgomery home, if whatever we feel is appropriate. And also, we're talking with a person who does sculptures, and his idea is that we should do sculptures of the founders and some of the more prominent people of the town, and do a huge fountain, because this guy has done fountains for large hotels, Hyatts, and I have a lot of pictures of his fountains and his sculptures. So he wants to do something huge right here, and it would be wonderful if it can be done in conjunction with a hotel. We'll see. Now, if you can see that historic house that I'm zooming into right there, they just finished putting a roof on that house today. And my cousin owns that house, and he's contracted a guy to do the rest of the restoration, but he had to do an outside company to do the roof. And now that the roof is done today, within the next month or 2 or 3, that house will be fully restored. And it's a historical house also. Martin Luther King spent time there. T.R.M. Howard owned that house at one point. And so it's a very important historical house in Mount Bayou. And it has a lot of value as far as this street and as far as this historical street. So somewhere along in here is where we're talking about building a hotel. As we get closer, you guys can choose where on this site. I'm giving you a 360, and you can see what this whole area looks like. Now, currently, for the city or people in the city use this site to hold festivals, hold community events here on this site. We just had Juneteenth here on the 11th. We had ours early, and then we had one of our singers who's nationally known, Nellie Travis, come home, and she did she was out here in the park for the whole day, and then she did a concert there at that place I mentioned earlier, Scooter's Place. So this is basically the downtown area. Just where you see that stop sign there is and you see these cars going, that's old Highway 61. There's a bypass to the west of town this way, now maybe 2 miles to the west of here. But this highway right here, there are 3 cities that use this highway, or 3 or 4 cities that are interconnected on this highway, and this is the old Highway 61, which is a nationally known or internationally known highway. It's called the Blues Highway, and a lot of the blues, uh, nationally or internationally, a lot of the blues came from the Delta, and they will. A lot of times you'll hear about Highway 61 being the conduit for a lot of the blues in the country, or in a lot of the blues. Old time people, B.B. King and those type of people from that era. So anyway, this is a picture of what we're looking at. Let me go a little bit slower. And maybe down on that end, maybe that's where the hotel goes. I don't know. But maybe we try to take into account that people hold festivals here, and you leave some of this for uh, festivals and the family reunion type things that we want to market here in this area. So while people are going here to this house and this house and this bank building here, and then in walking distance from here is our museum. So uh, we figured that once people get here, they can walk to the museum, and maybe a mile down the street down there is a cotton gin that we want to convert into also into a museum, because the highest grade of cotton in the world was here in this town at one time. So we want to emphasize that and enhance that as a value to the city. And so that turns this whole area into a tourist area. So that's basically it. That's basically it. I hope this gives you a good idea of what everything looks like. All right, signing off. I just also wanted to add the value of this area again, as far as a community gathering. I think I mentioned that we have the September Fest here, and on this green, this is a central point of the city, because we have for September Fest. We didn't have it the last 2 years because of COVID, but this year I'm expecting a lot of pent-up demand for people who haven't been here in the last 2 years. But we usually have 4,000 to 5,000 people from out of town to come here for September Fest, and this strip is crowded with RVs, tents, people, cars, um, food vendors, and these streets you can't. It's almost impassable. These streets during during September Fest, and so that is one of the things that we want to develop even more than just that one date. But if we do family reunions and other special events, they can be accommodated on in this area and other areas of Mount Bayou. But these are some of the things that we want to develop here. I just needed to add that part. So if you can imagine thousands of people here on this strip, that's what happens during September Fest. All right, I'm going to sign off again.